It is the 4 o'clock hour of the Ray Lytle Show, and I'm joined by Scott McFarland. He's been on the show before. You've heard Scott talk. He is a member of the school board and has been on the show several times to discuss school board issues. However, today, he has announced he'll be running for Alderman of Ward 4. He wants to be on the city council. We welcome him to the program now. It's Scott McFarland. Hey, Scott, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ray. The big question is, did you get to finish your lunch?
I did. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you. I'm glad you listened before you come on. Be surprised how many guests don't take the 5 minutes to flip over and at least see what we're saying about them before they come in here. Hey, congratulations. Big announcement today for you.
Thank you.
So being on the school board isn't enough? You need the more power, more control? You're now joining the city council as well, or at least that's your goal? How did you come to the conclusion that you want to run for alderman?
Well, for the past couple months, my wife and I have been weighing kind of what I can do in terms of helping out our neighborhoods, and I've done a lot on the school board. I think I feel like I've had an impact there, but I know there's more that can be done, and I think I can take what I can do for education in District 186 and continue to work on that and continue to promote the district, but also work on other areas like economic improvement, the 10th Street corridor, safety for our neighborhoods, and so I've decided that the best place to do that is on the city council. Hopefully my neighbors on the north end will agree and send me there in April.
When did you start thinking about this?
I've been thinking about it for the better part of the summer.
So after you heard Frank Lesko was not?
No, I've been thinking
before?
about this since, I don't know, May or June. So before Alderman Lesko had made a decision, I was still thinking about it, and I decided now that this would be the good time to go for it.
So Alderman Lesko not running had nothing to... You would have ran... the initial plan was to run against him?
Well, no, like I said, we were weighing it. My wife and I hadn't come to a decision at that point. We came to the decision a few weeks ago and decided to go with it then.
As of now, you'd be... I mean, you're the only person that has announced.
So far. I'm sure that will change.
We don't know.
But yeah.
Well, as of right now, Alderman Lesko isn't running.
He's running for city clerk.
Yeah, he's moved on, or at least wants to move on. And what about, let me ask you this. If you win this thing, does this mean you have to give up the school board seat?
Yeah, I won't be running for re-election. My term ends in 2015, so that was part of the weighing the decision. Do I run for re-election for 4 years on the school board, or I try to see if I can serve on the city council? So we decided not to run for re-election and to go ahead and see what folks think about me being on the city council.
When will the school board post be over?
It'll be over the same time.
So the same time. Oh, so
my replacement will be elected April 7th, the same day that I'm on the ballot for Ward 4.
So, there's a chance you won't have anything to do. God forbid.
I tend to keep myself busy.
Right. So even if you lose both of them, you're going to be like commissioner of a fantasy baseball league or something. I mean, you need to have something to do.
Something tells me I'll keep busy, but hopefully I'll be able to serve the North End for the next 4 years on the city council and get some good things accomplished there.
You, of course, because you've been on the school board, I'm sure the questions automatically went out. And I heard even our reports. By the way, we're talking to Scott McFarland, current school board member, announcing that he's running for Ward 4 alderman. Immediately questions went to, what would your experience on the school board? How would you take that over to the city council? That's a natural question. And I thought you answered it well. If you want to make a statement about that, feel free. I thought you had some interesting ideas with TIF districts and money going to the schools. But I want to ask you this. Do you feel you have a lack of city experience because you have been so hyper-focused on school board issues?
I don't think so, because my record has shown that I've been involved in community issues throughout. When we talk about the TIF districts aren't a school board issue per se, but I've been involved in them because I think that the city and the school district can partner together. Along with that, the 10th Street corridor. Again, not a school board issue at all, but because the 10th Street corridor went right through my sub-district and now goes right through my ward, I've been involved in that process throughout. So I think I have already involved myself in the city, and I feel that experience will carry on with what I'm doing now. In terms of other things I gained from the school board, the school district's budget is actually larger than the city budget if you don't count CWLP. So I'm used to working with a large budget. I'm not afraid to cut a budget, as we've seen. So when we talk about CWLP having to find $8 million by February, I understand that feeling, and I've been there before with District 186, so I have that experience. So I think in the long run, the past 4 years in the school board have prepared me well to serve on the city council.
What would it be like working with other council members? Do you know? Are you familiar with? Do you? Because I think it's going to be a whole new council. Just the numbers say with as many people that aren't running.
You'll have at least half the council turn over.
But what is your relationship like with the ones that we think will be back?
I feel I have a strong relationship with all those folks. I've worked with quite a few of them before. I've also been working with quite a few of the folks who are running. So I have a good relationship with a lot of people who could find themselves on the city council. Same with the mayoral race. I know everybody who's running for mayor. I've worked with all of them in one shape or form. So no matter who walks into that council chamber in late April, early May, I'm going to know them. I'm going to be willing to work with them. It's the same thing with the school board. I've been through 2 different school boards now, and I've worked well with everyone, I feel. And I haven't always gotten my way, but at the end of the day, we work well together, and it'll be the same with the city council. The main goal is going to be being a voice for my area of town. I think one of the things that has happened is Springfield has focused on the outskirts of town, Dirksen Parkway, Veterans Avenue, and then you also have the downtown area. But our outlying areas right around downtown, the north end, the east side, the near south side, all those areas need to be focused on more than what they are now. And me being from the north end by Fairview Park, I have the ability to do that.
We're talking to Scott McFarland again, once again, current school board member, announcing he's running for Alderman in Ward 4. He wants to become part of the city council. You are how old?
I'm 31.
Who is the youngest member of the city council now?
You know, I don't know that.
Do you know this?
I'm guessing Mr. Tylen. I'm just guessing, but I'm not sure.
Any idea of Chris Tylen's age?
Not a clue. I didn't know we were doing trivia.
Well, the reason I'm bringing it up is if you are elected, not like I said, we don't know who's running.
Sure.
We don't know who else is running, but you would be the youngest member of the city council were you to win.
I joined the school board when I was 27, so it's not new territory for me to be the young guy in the room.
You were the youngest school board member as well.
I believe, at least for that school board, and I'm sure I was in the lower ranks.
Adam Lopez.
Adam's got me by a few months.
So yeah.
So I'm still the youngest. Yeah.
Yeah, you're still the youngest with him too.
I am.
Yeah. So you are. So I guess you would be used to being the youngest.
Yeah, it's old hat.
Well, I guess I could say as someone who's interviewed you a few times, you hold yourself as. You hold yourself older than, more wise than your years.
No, I appreciate that.
But then again, when I was your age, I was, I didn't own a tie. I mean, for God's sakes.
I'm just a geek like that. I'm sorry.
Right. Yeah. We're talking to Scott McFarland. He's our guest. We'll take a break, come back, and I got some more questions for him. He wants to run for Alderman in Ward 4. Wants to join this city. I got to tell you, I hats off to anybody who wants to join this city council. We'll discuss the Houston administration, problems with the city, and how he thinks he can make his ward better, all when we return on the Ray Lytle Show. So don't go anywhere. Scott McFarland is joining me on the Ray Lytle Show. Scott McFarland, of course, existing school board member. Now he's running for Alderman in Ward 4. Hello, Scott.
Hello, sir.
So you say you want to be on the city council, and I say more power to you, but I want to ask you a couple scenarios. Gail Simpson was on the show last week. She's running for mayor. She also is the Ward 2 alderman, and I want to give you a scenario just so listeners can pick your brain. Potential voters can see how you think. I was discussing the Danes Discount building. That is empty and has remained empty for a long time. Magro Foods wants to put in a meat packing or meat packing, cutting, whatever they do. It's some kind of meat facility. They would have they'd slaughter animals once a day or once a week, and she was talking about it. And some of the people in the neighborhood don't like it, and they went to the Planning and Zoning Commission, and the Planning and Zoning Commission did not approve rezoning that would make it legal for Magro to move his company into this building, which is now empty. Speaking with Gail Simpson, she told us that even though it's her ward, and even though some people there don't like it, She has many other people that say they do like it. And so she will be asking, when it comes up next month, she will be asking for the council to not take the recommendation of planning and zoning and to go ahead and rezone it for Magro to move in. Now, I asked her, that, considering that would take a larger vote than usual in order to have it happen. I said, should your recommendation count? She said, yes, the alderman of the ward should have some weight. So I want to ask you, if you were on the council now, would the alderman of that ward have some weight with you? Would you take their recommendation under your own recommendation in order to vote a certain way?
It would depend on the situation, but yes, I think the alderman who's representing that area definitely has a say in what's going on. You know, one of the things I've been saying throughout this is the fact that I want to be a voice for the north end of town. I can't be a voice for the north end of town if I can't get some votes behind me on the city council. So if I go in there and say, I want to do this to Sangamon Avenue, and I think this is going to be good for my area of town, I'm hoping the other members of the city council will come on board and agree with me that's going to be good for my end of the town, which also will equate to being good for the entire city. The whole thing is we've separated the city into these chunks. You're either a west side person, east side person, north ender, you're on the south side, you're by the lake, and that has hurt us for decades. From 2000 to 2014, we've only increased our population by a little over 5,000 people. That's less than 5%. At the exact same time, Chatham's increased their population by over 30%. Mm-hmm. So what we're doing right now isn't working. We're not drawing people in. We're not drawing new businesses in. And the problem with that is we're going to have anemic growth or no growth at all, and we're going to continue to bleed people out to the outskirts of town, which is going to hurt our city. It's going to hurt our economic output. It's going to hurt our school district and so forth and so on. So we definitely need to be drawing in new businesses, and I would definitely look at the aldermen from any area and what their opinion is, because they're working with their constituents more than I am, and vice versa. If
you were on the city council today, would you vote to bypass the Planning and Zoning Commission and say, yes, Magro can move into Dane's Discount, knowing what you know about it?
I don't have enough information based on that, but what I would do if I was on the city council right now, I would sit down with the Zoning Commission, I would sit down with Alderman Simpson, and I would sit down with the business and see exactly what they're talking about and then make a decision based on that. I tend to keep myself completely open in terms of decision-making. I don't walk in saying I am a firm yes or a firm no vote. I want all the information I can gather. I want to figure out what's going to be best for the city, and then I'll make a vote. But again, I would definitely take Alderman Simpson's, in this scenario, advice.
What do you think about residency?
I said today in my speech that we need a police force that reflects the neighborhoods that they're protecting. So I would like to see more local recruitment. And I'm very open to the idea of looking at some kind of residency for new hires and figuring out what we can do for that.
But blanket residency for everybody? You're going to work for the city, you got to live in the city, or is it just for police?
I think you can't just single out one employee group. So if we're going to look into this, we would need to look into it across the board. But again, it would be one of those where I would first weigh to see if this was going to be a potential benefit for us, and I think in this case it probably would be, again, reflecting the neighborhoods that people are working with. But I would not put forth a policy that would say, if you've been working for us for 10 years but you live out in Riverton, you can't work for us anymore. I would say this would only be for new hires if I was for that.
Mm-hmm. Scott McFarland, I wish you luck. You are always a good guest. And, boy, you got a big campaign in front of you. Congratulations on announcing Ward 4. You'll be running for alderman. As of now, you're unopposed. And congratulations. What's the website?
ScottMcFarland.us.
ScottMcFarland.us. Thank you for being on the Ray Lytle Show.
I appreciate it, sir, anytime.
Back with more in a moment on the Ray Lytle Show.